This is the final leg of a long journey. From a mountaintop in the Andes to a city in Peru. Inside the van is the discovery of a lifetime. Its cargo, the frozen remains of an Inca woman, the first female ice mummy ever to be found in the Andes.
It was awesome, you know. I was riding along a body that had been hiding for 500 years, and suddenly it was next to me.
Preserved naturally by mountain ice, the body has been frozen for some 500 years. Sonia Guillen, an archaeologist, is hoping to unravel the mummy's past.
Feeling responsible, feeling scared, but also feeling exhilarated because you're going to find answers.
It will take many months to discover how this young girl met her end. She is now known as the Ampato Maiden, or the Ice Mummy. The Ice Mummy was discovered on the summit of Mount Ampato in the Andes. She'd been left there about 500 years ago, when the Incas were at their most powerful. This mighty civilization ruled over some 10 million people in South America. For the Incas, these mountains were more than just a landscape. They were gods. They believed the mountains controlled the weather, and when the gods became angry, they made ritual offerings to appease them.
We had heard of human sacrifices from the chroniclers, those early writers when the Spanish arrived in the Andes. But there had never been evidence of human sacrifices of this sort before.
The Ice Maiden was discovered by mountaineer and archaeologist Dr. Johann Reinhardt. He was convinced she was proof of this Inca ritual.
When we climbed the peak and we found the mummy, then we knew it. We were really onto something, that they had not just worshipped it from afar, but they'd actually climbed to the summit and made these sacrificial offerings.
Over the next few weeks, Sonia and her team are hoping to find more answers by examining the mummy's remains. At their center in Arequipa, they have to work in the cool hours of the night to avoid damaging the frozen body. It's a daunting task.
As part of my job, I have unwrapped many mummies, but I had never unwrapped a frozen mummy. And I had never unwrapped a mummy with, not just frozen, but with so much ice.
As one of the most well-preserved mummies ever found, the Ice Maiden has attracted attention from all over the world.
There was pressure from the media. There was pressure from everybody wanting to know something.
The next step is to complete this operation here and undo the knot that's under the neck and then start to get those textiles.
And that is a very, very special sensation of feeling responsible, feeling scared, but also feeling exhilarated because you're going to find answers.
The Ice Maiden had been mummified by the freezing temperatures on the mountain summit. Once the body was frozen, bacteria couldn't survive and decay was prevented. But the adventure isn't over. Just 1 month after finding the Ice Maiden, Johann launches another expedition to the site of her burial. He hopes to uncover more artifacts on the mountain that would shed new light on the life and death of the mysterious frozen girl. Johann's journey takes him along what may have been the very same path once traveled by the Inca maiden. She was Capacocha, chosen for the gods. Escorted by priests, traveling through mountain passes and into river valleys, she walked for days on end, the voyage itself an act of devotion. Following in her footsteps, Johann is on his own pilgrimage, trying to unravel the mystery of Inca sacrifice. He's heading back to the summit of Mount Ampato at nearly 21,000 feet.
Ampato is the biggest peak in the entire region. Even still today, the people are worshiping it virtually every opportunity that they have.
I think the most telling statement once was when I was walking with an old man and he said, you know, for us, the mountains are alive.
Meanwhile, in Arequipa, Sonia and her team are struggling to remove the maiden's outer wrap. Sonia can't risk having the body out of the freezer for more than 30 minutes a session, in case it starts to deteriorate now it's exposed to the air.
It was very hard because we allowed ourselves very little time to work with the mummy as to cause as little damage or changes as possible. And so every time and every move and every step was a challenge.
Sonia has resorted to using an unconventional tool, an electrician's soldering iron, to try to melt the ice.
We're trying to free the ice from the knot in the neck, but I'm also trying to free this block attached to the textile. We have found this very opportunistic tool that has come to our aid.
The outer layer comes loose, and the first signs of the maiden's flesh are revealed.
We are uncovering the body, and the body is in such good shape as we were expecting from the x-rays, but you know, just looking at it, it just seems that it's a lot better. The soft tissue of the skin and the hands is frozen, is preserved, it has kept its shape, it has kept its color. The personal level, this is, I don't know whether I'm too excited or too tired, you know, I just don't know the difference anymore.
It's a breakthrough. The 500-year-old body is in a unique state of preservation, but Sonia is still no nearer to finding the cause of death. Johann and his men have left base camp, and like the Inca maiden, are leaving the familiar world behind them and entering the domain of the mountain god. Nearly 4 miles up, they find an ancient burial site, one of the highest archaeological digs in the world, and one of the richest. As they start to dig, they uncover a gold Inca figurine, a ceremonial offering to the gods, 5 centuries old. But there are more than material riches. In the rubble, Johann makes out a body.
What we have is a flexed body. You can see the head here that's been, it's lost its hair, it's been colored in red, and it has like this crown around it. The knees are flexed here, and then it has several offerings placed, you know, right beside it.
It's a child surrounded by ritual offerings, and probably another sacrifice. This is the first time more than one victim has ever been found on the same mountain, offered to the same god. It seems a barbaric ritual, but for the Incas, it may have been a last resort.
We have several reasons why the sacrifices were made. They were made because of special events like an earthquake, the threat of a volcano that is smoking, the possibilities of flood or lack of food. Those are events that probably require this very special ritual.
The young girls chosen to be part of these rituals would have had the inducement of being venerated by their people. In their sacrifice, the Inca believed they were going to live with the gods, to become gods themselves in a way, to represent their people in the next life. In the shadow of the volcano, the team's astonishing series of finds reaches a climax. They have discovered signs of another body. It takes 3 days to dig her out of her icy grave.
It's more than what I expected. I mean, it's got not only the nice ceramics and other pieces that came with it, it's obviously female. Presumably a young woman in the size of sandals, perhaps 12 years old or so.
Another victim of human sacrifice. And the mountains are to offer up more evidence of these extraordinary Inca rituals. More than 20,000 feet above sea level, Johann is nearing the end of his journey, following in the steps of the Inca maiden who had been chosen by her people to be sacrificed to the mountain gods. She would have been accompanied by priests all the way to the icy summit.
That's not good. Can you imagine what it was like trying to do this 500 years ago? Those guys were something else. They obviously had to have been climbers. I mean, they had to know how to do this. They were the first true climbers.
It wasn't just a physical feat. The Inca pilgrims would have had to overcome their fears of venturing into what they believed was the realm of the gods.
There's rockfall and snowstorms, and for them, it's the god who's reacting to them being on the mountain.
It's 5 a.m. in Arequipa. After 8 nighttime sessions, the team has achieved a victory.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
The outer wrap comes off to reveal more of the girl's well-preserved arm.
This is in very good shape. See how thick the arm is, and we have this brownish, very darkish discoloration on the fingers, and I think that's frostbite.
The elegant clothes are those of an Inca noblewoman.
This whole bundle is amazing. I think the textiles are superb. They're in good condition, which is really it's very good for us and for our work. See the color of it, the flexibility of it. It probably was new when she wore it for this ritual. I feel relieved. I feel overwhelmed because I was thinking that we were not going to be able to go through this tonight. You know, I was about to say, let's put it in a bag and put her back to the freezer. So I'm relieved.
At last, the delicate figure of the Ampato maiden emerges. Even her organs are intact, preserved by the freezing temperatures. She's as close as we can get to a living Inca. Up on the summit of Mount Ampato, Johan is retracing her last steps.
And she gradually went higher and higher, and it got more difficult to breathe. She was also getting into totally different terrains that she had never seen before. Extremes of cold, extremely steep ascents.
On the narrow ridge of the summit, Johan finds a staging area, a place to prepare for the event to come, the sacrifice. The young girl's last night would have been spent here, knowing death was just hours away.
Well, she knew what was going to happen. She knew she was chosen to be dedicated. She was chosen to die. And I don't know, she definitely had to be afraid, but she must have also been convinced that what she was doing was good for her community. She was doing something for others.
Adorned in silver and dressed in fine wool, she was made ready for the sacrifice.
I think she must have had an incredible courage. Her willingness, such as it were, to go and face death is also based on the idea that she herself would then enter into another life with the deities and become, by this process, in essence, deified.
She may have been given an intoxicating drink by the priests as part of the ritual. By now, she would have been cold and exhausted by the climb.
She might have died of exposure, or they might actually have killed her. But they buried her on the summit and left her as an offering to the gods.
Some of the Ice Maiden's secrets have been revealed, but exactly how she died is still a mystery. Her body is sent to the United States, where a team of scientists at Johns Hopkins University discovers the truth. These state-of-the-art CAT scan images reveal how she met her end. It was a violent blow to the head that fractured her skull and most probably ended her life. It seems like a terrible fate, but she had given her life for her gods and her people. Her discovery is the first evidence of this type of Inca ritual, But Johann Reinhardt goes on to find more child sacrifices who had followed the Ampato maiden to an icy grave. On the border of Chile and Argentina, Johann climbs Mount Yuyeryaku. At more than 22,000 feet, it is the world's highest archaeological site.
We found 3 incredibly preserved Inca mummies. One, unfortunately, been hit by lightning.
When I pulled back the cloth, it was feeling like I'd just gone back in time, and all of a sudden I was there with this girl, thinking what it must have felt like to be offered to the gods.
It is further proof of the Incas' belief in the power of human sacrifice.
Those mummies show a pattern, and that pattern is connected to a ritual that was being practiced during Inca times in the southern Andes. And there's definitely a connection when you look who were being sacrificed, how this was happening, what they were taking along in the sacrifices. It is a very clear pattern of an Inca ritual.
The Inca Empire lasted for less than 100 years, but the Ampato maiden still speaks to us. And for Sonia, she'll always have a special connection with this first female Inca ice mummy to be rescued from her mountain grave.
I've seen mummies, but when you look at the color and the face, and this mummy had eyes you could look at. You know, it's sort of like you wish the connection could make things alive.